While the world's attention is rightfully on Palestine, another humanitarian crisis has been happening to Afghan refugees in Pakistan. Pakistan has been moving to expel 1.7 million Afghan refugees from the land. The Pakistani government has been claiming that these refugees all don't have legal documents or that they've been contributing to crime in Pakistan. The deportations have already started. It was going on through the end of October. The deadline was November 1st. And they're putting Afghan refugees in holding centers where reports have come out that Pakistani police are abusing the refugees and harassing them and asking them to pay bribes. Like this little boy who was hit in the face because he was carrying sugar. The refugees have been living in Pakistan, many of them for decades, since the 1980s. And what's happening to them? Their belongings are being confiscated, they're getting harassed, abused, and they can only carry with them outside of the country $178. Many Afghans, including women and children, are being put in containers. Again, Pakistan is claiming that Afghans are responsible for crime in the country and that most of these refugees don't have documents. But so many Afghans are holding up and showing their citizenship papers, their cards, but they're still being made to leave. And even many of them are having their properties confiscated. I'm going to give you guys a bit of background about the history of Afghan refugees in Pakistan. When the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan in 1979, millions of Afghan refugees fled to Pakistan. And they settled in areas where there was little to no development, and they independently built homes and villages. But still, vulnerability for refugees continued, and extreme poverty began to stab its sharp edge on Afghan livelihoods in Pakistan. The refugees provided cheap labor and started playing an instrumental role in the development of Pakistan. However, in return, no legal rights of labor were given to them from the government. They were not eligible to work as white-collar workers. Most of them ended up with blue-collar jobs, earning very little wage. And then the Afghans who left Pakistan and moved to other parts of the world, they still send money to, their families back in Pakistan, so that benefits the Pakistan economy. Afghans are very hardworking and resourceful people. They started businesses in Pakistan, they are entrepreneurial, and they kept their wealth in Pakistani banks, which benefits the economy of Pakistan. Now here's where it gets interesting. Since the 1980s, Pakistan received millions and millions and millions of dollars in aid to host the refugees. The money that is poured into Pakistan for the sake of Afghan refugees' welfare has provided thousands of job opportunities to local Pakistanis. For instance, the Afghan Refugee Commissioner's Office employs 700 people whose job is to process Afghan refugees. But there's corruption in the Pakistani government and among the police. It's in full swing. Afghan refugees on a near daily basis are paying huge amounts in bribes to Pakistani police in order to escape frequent harassment, which has become a common source of revenue for the country's security officials. Also, the UNHCR and other international donor organizations, including the Norwegian Refugees Council and Swedish International Development Agency, give almost $150 million annually to the Pakistani government for the sake of providing services to Afghan refugees. Almost nothing from these sums have been spent on Afghan refugees. Rather, it mostly goes directly or indirectly into the hands of the Pakistani government. In addition, Afghan refugees face smuggling, human trafficking, sex trafficking, kidnapping, sexual assault, killing of children has been on the rise. According to Amnesty International, they've asked Pakistan government to stop harassing and arbitrarily arresting Afghans seeking refuge. The International Refugees Assistance Project, IRAP, condemns the government of Pakistan's forcible return of Afghan refugees. Now keep in mind that the ones the Pakistani government are claiming are undocumented also include the Afghan asylum seekers who have been waiting and have been in limbo. They've been promised visas by the United States. Originally, they were told it would take 4 to 6 months, and it's almost 2 years. Yes, 2 years, and they've been waiting, and the Pakistani government are telling them, you've got to get out. The U.S. government placed priority for Ukrainian refugees. According to on-the-ground witnesses who are there, They're saying the Pakistani government are preventing journalists from going in to witness to see how they're handling the removal of Afghan refugees. That sounds familiar. Not only are they telling Afghans, get out of the country, they're charging people to leave. You know what they even did? They even, on a masjid loudspeaker, told the refugees, you gotta get out of here. I've seen so many videos of old Afghan refugees, old men crying, saying, we've been here for decades, we've given our life to Pakistan. I've seen a lot of Pakistanis condemn this, and I see them on Twitter, on social media, saying they're embarrassed, they're ashamed, that they don't have control over this, that their government is corrupt. I haven't seen many of them defend this, besides trolls and bots who are probably getting paid, but it's really heartbreaking to see two Muslim countries side by side doing this. And I no doubt in my mind it's political and it relates to what's going on, which I won't get into. This Pakistani tweeted, "We Pakistanis are hypocrites as a nation. We are no less than Israel." Again, it's a very, very sad situation. This is not what Islam teaches. Islam teaches us to help our fellow Muslims, brothers and sisters in time of need. Afghan refugees have been appreciative of Pakistan taking them in, but I can't appreciate them being mistreated the way they are or have been. I hope I see more Pakistanis speak out about this humanitarian crisis like